So good evening, everybody, to the January January meeting of the Village of Southampton Planning Commission. So we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we're going to do a roll call. So Michel Brogard, unfortunately, cannot be with us today. He's actually in the Middle East, and there's and our Zoom link is not working. Am I correct? So unfortunately, we cannot attend. Christian Picot
Here.
Yeah. Michael Anderson
Here.
Michelangelo Lieberman. So Michelangelo is resigning as he's moving out of town. And he's not with us tonight. And we have our a new member, a junior at the Southampton High School that we welcome to join our planning commission. Her name is Catherine Blackmore, and I want to maybe give Catherine an opportunity to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm very interested in urban planning and regulations. I feel like this will be a very welcoming experience, so thank you very much.
Very much. Thank you so much, Catherine, to come and help us. Our next item on the agenda, briefly, is we have two new village appointments to announce. We have Karen Bontempo is now the new assistant to our mayor, and Karen has been with the village for a while. And the next appointment that we have here in the village is Chris Talbot, who is back in the village, has been reinstated as our new building inspector. So I want to welcome them both and wish them both the best of success in the village. So the next items on the agenda that we have is we have item number 4.1, which is an update on the improvement to the cell service in the village. This effort has been spearheaded by Christian Picot, who is going to maybe update us on
Sure.
developments.
Be happy to, but before we do that, I'd like to make a motion so that we can approve the minutes from the October and November meetings. Do I have a second?
Second.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have a quorum.
Thank you. And I know Jolie puts in a lot of effort in getting these minutes done, and they're very well done. So thank you,
Okay.
Jolie. So, welcome to the Planning Commission's first session of 2024, and according to the Chinese zodiac, this will be the year of the dragon, a year of innovation. So, a presentation to improve the wireless communication for the first responders and residents was made to the public and the Board of Trustees in this room on November 21st. We had representatives from police, fire, and EMS who participated in this presentation. And for those of you who missed it, the Southampton Press published a good summary on November 19th. So I outlined two separate milestones during the presentation. First, the amendments to the Village Code concerning wireless development, for which a public hearing is scheduled here next Tuesday, January 11th, in this room at 6 p.m. Thursday, January 11th, in this room. And the second milestone is an RFP for tower operators to respond, which will be published shortly. Now, concerning the proposed changes to the code, it is intended to protect the village from undesirable possible developments following the order from the Federal Communications Commission in 2018, particularly as it concerns nodes in public right-of-ways. And for those of you who have witnessed new wireless node developments in the New York and Nassau counties, I'm sure you'd welcome these code amendments. Now, concerning the RFP, national tower operators, including SBA Communication, Crown, and American Towers, as well as regional operators, including Beacon, Homeland, TowerPoint, and others, will have a chance to propose a solution which will be both the most effective and the least obtrusive. Now, a group comprised of Mr. Moneypenny from the Budget and Finance, the Village Administrator, Ricky Fowler from the Fire Department, Michel Morgard from this commission, and myself will review the responses that are due by the end of March from this RFP. Now, do note that TowerPoint was recently awarded a contract by the town for a solution at the Oakland docks and North Sea locations, which will help out certainly other areas in the village. And finally, I just would like to give a shout out to fire and police communications experts, Ricky Fowler and Mr. LaMonica, for their contributions, the folks at law firm Harris Beach for their efficiencies in putting an RFP together, and Trustee Lenzanati for making sure everyone is on task. Look, there's still a lot to do, and we've got a good team now together. So our goal is to complete the project in less than 12 months. And certainly this is a matter of imminent public safety for first responders to deal with calls in emergencies. So that's the update concerning Section 4-1 of your agenda.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Christian. And the RFP, what is the timeline on the RFP? Do we have a...
The RFP is complete, and it should go out very soon.
Okay, fantastic.
As in within a week.
Oh, within a week. Okay, fantastic. So we'll look forward to receiving the proposals. Any other questions? Any other comments? All right, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a task force that was created to review the local law 7 and to review the penalties and general operations of the village courts and review the local code violations. This effort was done under the leadership of Michael Brogard, and unfortunately he's not here tonight, but I know that they have been meeting. They had numerous meetings, including with the town attorney, and we look forward to receiving his updates maybe at our next meeting.
So the next meeting for that task force, which I'm also on, will be on Saturday, the 13th of January. That'll be hopefully the last one, and we can start making some concrete recommendation to the mayor and his board of trustees.
Right. It's an area that definitely needed some revisions. The next item that we have here on the agenda is talks about our review of the Town Community Housing Fund. So the community, and I will give a brief summary on what we have done so far. So the Community Housing Fund was created started actually in 2019 and was signed in 2022. It was really spearheaded by Fred Thiel, our assemblyman, the state assemblyman. And basically, it added 0.5% on every real estate transaction within some of the towns in Suffolk County, the town of Southampton, Southold, and other towns, Shelter Island, and so forth. And they created this 0.5% that will be collected together with the Community Preservation Fund, together with the CPF, and that 0.5% will be used for the creation of workforce housing and affordable housing within each of the towns. In order to make any disbursements before the funds can do disbursements, a housing plan has to be adopted by the town, and the town has been working on this housing plan, and there's actually a public hearing this Tuesday on this housing plan. And as soon as this housing plan is fully adopted, then we will be able to implement and apply for some of the funds. The village of Southampton is one of 3 villages that have opted to be part of that community housing fund. And to have opted in, meaning that it only means that we will be able to apply for the funds. And we also have one representative on the advisory board to the community housing fund. the way the community housing fund is structured, the funds go to the funds are paid as part of the CPF to the county controller, who then pays the funds back to the town controller, and the funds are then allocated. And right now they are managed by the Housing and Community Development Director, Kara Back. Kara's a longtime attorney from the area who has worked in the town attorney's office for many years, and now is the director of this housing and community development. Ultimately, those funds are within the authority of the town board, which is now we have a new supervisor, Maria Moore, and the 4 council members, 2 of them which are new, Michael Yasili, Cindy McNamara, William Pell, and Tommy Scavioni. So they are still working on the application process. I was told that the application was going to be finalized as soon as the plan is adopted by the town. They will put up the application for those funds on the town websites, but the application forms have not yet been finalized. Those funds will be used in many ways. They'll be used as assistance for down payments. There may be also there may be a possibility of that the town may take some equity into some of the houses. So they have a slew of ways to be able to help the development of workforce housing in the area. And if the village wants to help through our own zoning, let's say to revise some of their own zoning, then this will help possibly have developers or even the village, if the village wants to use some of the town properties to develop affordable housing. So the basic difference here, I just want to touch upon affordable housing and the word workforce housing, is that affordable housing is really a term of art that HUD uses, whereby individuals are not supposed to spend more than 30% of their income towards housing, and anybody and if the person, and each county in the United States have what's called an AMI, an average median income, and if the person makes less than 60% of the AMI within that county, then that person is eligible for subsidies under HUD, and that subsidies will pay on the difference between what HUD determines to be the fair market rent for a property within that county and 30% of that income from that person. So this is with the subsidies that HUD would provide. Whereas in workforce housing, we don't have this, there won't be these requirements. So Kara Back has worked also on other requirements to provide assistance for housing, which will be geared primarily towards people who work for the town, work for the village, and work within the town boundaries. So I had put together a presentation. Unfortunately, our Zoom tonight is not working, so I could not put it up. But we'll look for what the town finally decides, and then once the town has decided and adopted their housing plan, then at that point the Planning Commission will then make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees on how we could help and improve and participate in further development of workforce housing that's much needed. Any questions on the?
No, but thank you for your diligent work.
Okay.
I know it's pretty comprehensive.
Yes, and it's a complex problem, and it's a problem that where government needs to help and needs to provide incentives for the development of workforce housing. So one of them could be, for example, a reduction of the parking ratio that we have in the village for multifamily, which is very stringent. Maybe a reduction in the lot coverage if somebody adds workforce housing to their development.
Can I ask Mark on this presentation, page 5, you have this income limit documentation system. Could you just give us an idea for someone in the village what the AMI would be? I mean, what is the income that we're looking at?
So the Suffolk County and Nassau County, interestingly, have the highest average median income in the nation, in the union. Right now, it stands at $156,000. So if you make 60% of that amount, meaning approximately $102,000 for a family of four, you are then eligible under HUD to receive subsidies under their program. HUD is the largest single federal budget item after the military in the federal government. So there's a lot of subsidies at that level. So this is how this table works. And this table is done, HUD, New York State, is what's called the delegated state, meaning that many of the federal agencies like EPA do not deal directly with the individuals like they do in Nebraska or in other states. Here everything goes through a state agency, which is the New York State Home and Community Renewal. So every HUD program goes through this DHCR, and then we then deal with DHCR, and then they apportion the funds. But the community housing fund is really completely independent of this. Does not have all those strings attached to those funds.
So Mark, to understand, you said 60% of 156,000, 102,000 for family of four. So what happens in terms of if we have a family of two, a couple earning $100,000, working for the village? Is that the threshold?
No, in this table there are various income limit. Here I used a family of four. On this table I used a family of four, but it's limit based, and we have the highest AMI in the country.
So concretely, just a couple, two people, what is the combined income above which they could not participate in this workforce housing program of the CHF? That's my question.
The Community Housing Fund is a little different. The Community Housing Fund it's on the next page,
okay,
on page 6, where there's an income limit of $174,000, $174,360 for up to 2-person household, and $203,000 for 3-person household. So those limits are pretty high, meaning anybody who makes less than this would be eligible for assistance under the Community Housing Fund.
Okay, thank you. That is helpful.
Right now, there's approximately 3 million, from what I understand, is as of November 2023, there were approximately $3 million in the fund. So as soon as the town adopts the housing plan, which is with a new administration now, we should then immediately try to either assist and foster to have developers from the village apply for those funds, or try to help other developers in the immediately surrounding areas. And one of the key elements is that these funds, we really want to use these funds for workforce housing, meaning for people who work in this area. Not so much like there was this proposed development on the Liberty Gardens, which is under the, I don't want to say under the guise of, but under the banner of affordable housing, is really creating housing for disabled veterans and not necessarily servicing the local workforce. So here the CHF will focus on the workforce housing for our first responders and staff members in the village and the town. So I think it's a great initiative, and we definitely want to participate in it. Any other question? Okay, great. So thank you so much, and we'll keep everyone posted on this. The next item that we have on the agenda is the issue of permeable surfaces and stormwater control and the importation of fill on properties in development. What has happened is that there has been a lot of complaints that people raise their grades in some areas in order to be able to take advantage of the pyramid law, which starts at the grade level. And when they raise the grade, it creates all kinds of issues in terms of stormwater management. So we had asked actually Michael Lieberman to look into it. I don't know if
He did. He did. He made a recommendation which he reviewed with the mayor, which has to do with the Sagaponic code for fills, and that seems to be a good recommendation.
Okay, so do we have it, or do we want
Yes, the mayor has it. I'll forward copies for you guys if you don't have it, so that you know what's there. But I also had a question going along with that. If we should think about from the building department, when you build a house, and you would know this much better than I, you have a calculation of water amount of rain per hour, and that needs to be contained in the property. Um, Given the increasing amount of rain that we get, is that number adequate in terms of infrastructure that you have on your property to retain that water, given a certain level of rain per hour? Is this the right number? Is a question I have. And
Okay,
should one look at that as well, because it's really effectively part of the same issue?
But well, there is a requirement in the building code statewide
Right.
that anybody has to contain their own stormwater within their own property. They are
Right.
not allowed to allow any water from their roofs or impervious surfaces to flow into the neighbor's property, and they have to create dry wells. And there are standard calculations that are done. And right now we use 2 inches of water. The maximum storm, it's like 50-year storm, which is 2 inches of water.
So it's
And
two.
you have to
Yeah, okay.
design
So it's 2 inches per hour that
Yes.
it must contain,
yes.
and that's sort of on a calculation of back 50 years of data. They've come up with that level of 2 inches,
Right,
And we
right,
think that's still today a good number. I'm just curious.
Yes, the American Society of Civil Engineers do provide those tables, and the flow. There's a coefficient of imperviousness, then there's the coefficient of intensity, and then you have the area, and you multiply those three factors, and then you get the flow, and then based on that flow, you calculate the amount of storage that you need to create within the property. So the idea is that the building department has to enforce that, number one. And number two, the second issue is also on the grading. The fact that when people import fill on the property, they start to change how the waters flow. And this is what needs to be studied more, and make sure that the building department asks for that proper engineered plans be provided for that. So, okay, I don't know if we should make a motion that to accept Lieberman's recommendation and let the Board of Trustees review them, or
I will email that to you in the next few minutes. So maybe you should have a look at it. I know you had marked different views when you saw the Sagaponic code or thoughts. That's not on the table yet, so maybe you should have a look at that and opine. I thought it was fine, but I'll make sure that all the members get it.
Yeah, well, so maybe we should table this, take another look at it. I mean, the Sagaponic has there is in the state regulation, there is another state regulation for properties larger than 1 acre. Once you have a property larger than 1 acre, you have to submit what's called a stormwater protection plan, SWIP. And here in the village, we don't have this. Most of the properties are less than 1 acre. and so it's not. Um, I think that maybe we could look into it a little bit more, especially with the rains that are.
I'm going to send this to you now, and
Okay,
um,
okay, very good. So thank you. So the next item on the agenda was the creation of a BID, a Business Improvement District. And this effort has been led by Eldon Scott, who has a tremendous experience in this type of urban development, as well as Trustee Stevenson, that is also has a retail store right in the village business district. The 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 bid is the creation of a business improvement district is pursuant to state law, and it allows, once the bid is created, it allows to, I don't want to use the word tax, but it allows to impose a fee on whoever is within that business improvement district, a fee and with the funds to be used for the beautification, cleanup, um, and development of other activities within the business improvement district. I think this is there's to me there's only positive points to do that. I think it's well overdue initiative, and I think that Eldon is the perfect person to lead. Unfortunately, he could not be here tonight. He's traveling, but I think that next time definitely we will. He will be speaking to us in February. The next item that we have on the agenda here is to propose regulations to create a greener and more environmentally friendly and sustainable village. I think that we were part of the leaders we banned the plastic bags at our beloved Stop and Shop and other stores. Um, I think that there are a lot of new technology coming up, like there's biodegradable plastics that are coming up on the market. I think there are many ways to make this for us to be part of this movement. And so maybe here we'll leave this on the agenda and create maybe a new task force. Maybe Catherine wants to get involved. I think this is, there are right now around the world there is a movement to get away from single-use plastics like straws or the little plastic fork that you have that you're going to use one time at Ciderella will stay at the landfill for the next 500 years. So there's really no need for that. We now have the ability to create plastics from biodegradable that are biodegradable, and there are other initiatives that we could adopt to make our village more environmentally friendly. So maybe Catherine can take the lead on that. That'd be great.
I think it would
Thank
be
you.
useful for Catherine also is to read the town's climate action plan report that was recently published. And what would be interesting to hear is after you read this, and it's 150 odd pages, what you could extract from there that might be immediately applicable for the village to think about that is actionable in there and reasonable, given the different views on the subject, because it is a political issue as well. But there could be some interesting outcome of it. So I'll make sure, if you give me your email, I'll make sure to give you that climate action plan. It's a lot of reading, but be great to hear a young person's view on what could be applicable.
Definitely, thank you.
Okay, very good. The next point that we have here on the agenda was the proposed regulation for tennis courts and their conversions to pickleball and the noise issue that it creates to the neighbors. It's something that is still being under review. I don't think we have had a chance to really come up with a resolution on how to deal with it. A lot of other jurisdictions, like East Hampton, have enacted some regulations to limit the conversion of tennis courts to pickleball. But pickleball being a sport that's really becoming more and more loved and practiced, we'll need to review that. Okay, the next item on the agenda is, well, the next item that we mentioned here is the clarifications on Chapter 20. Maybe it's something that the Board of Trustees should review in terms of the membership, the members of the Planning Commission, and how to have staggered position and maybe have term limits for the members of the Planning Commission. Maybe we can do a work session and make a suggestion to the Board of Trustees to clarify Chapter 20. Since we don't have a Zoom tonight, I'm not sure whether whether village planner Alex Wallach was able to join us. Chase? No? Jolie? No? So normally, typically, at our planning commission, Alex Wallach is the new village planner, typically briefs us on some developments on the regulations that they are looking into. And unfortunately, tonight we won't be able to do it because of those technical difficulties. And the next item on the agenda that we have is to improve the government transparency and maybe the review of the adoption of additional Civic Plus modules for the building department and other. I think this is something to be reviewed maybe with Alex Wallach that maybe we can discuss at the next meeting. Any public comments or?
No, but I have a couple of comments if you.
Go ahead. Yeah, you can talk to us about the Deer Task Force.
Thank you, Mark, and
Yeah.
welcome everybody that's watching us.
Yes.
Few updates on our deer management program that we have in the village. As of December 29th, our count is 94 deer that have been taken down. We still have the month of January to continue, and after that month, we can apply to the DEC for nuisance permits. Five permits at a time we can go to them and ask for, which shouldn't be an issue. Michael Testori from Suffolk County Deer Management is still looking for properties that he may be able to use. So if anybody out there is having an issue with deer in and around their property and would like for Michael to come and give a presentation to you and explain to you exactly what he does, you can reach him. It's area code 631-445-7568. And that's Michael Testori from Suffolk County Deer Management. Another issue that I was involved with, the Planning Commission asked me to go to a meeting given by Public Service, PSE&G of Long Island, and their proposed project, transmission line project from Southampton to Deerfield. I did go. It was very informal. It was more or less something that they needed to do to get approval for the project, to inform residents as to what they might want to do, what their plan is. So what I came to find out was that it is going to be coming out of the substation on North Sea Road in West Prospect, the existing substation there, and then it's going up Willow Street to North Main Street, and then out of the village on North Main Street all the way up onto Deerfield.
And they're all overhead cables?
No, it's all underground transmission.
All underground.
It's not going to be overhead at all. The project is not going to start. They're hoping to start by 25 or 26, 2025, 26. So this was just basically an introduction to us to let us know what their plans are.
So are they going to have to block then North Main Street?
No, I don't think they won't have to block it. No, they can probably have a two-lane road going down with cones, and it's wide enough. I don't think it'll be
because there's that narrow bridge. So.
Yeah, that's true. But Mark, it doesn't take them long to run these lines, so they can do that in a day. Get underneath that bridge in a day. It might be, 1 day of inconvenience, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Well, the East End does have an issue with power. We that's why there was some proposal to have a battery storage. The PSNG brought another line a few years ago down 27. So you know, it's part of their program.
Yes.
Because
One other,
with the amount of development that we have, the demand for power has increased substantially, and the infrastructure has not followed.
yes, and I think this is just their foresight projecting the power usage that's going to be coming in the next 5 or 10 years, and that's why they want to get this project started or done.
Right.
One other thing I'd like to mention is I did have a meeting with Janet Shira from the town, and we went over a few items. One specifically about the town of Southampton's climate action plan. I asked specifically how this was going to affect our village, and she said basically as of right now it's just an overview. So I have it here, and nothing has been voted on. It was just a plan that they asked for, spent a lot of money on as to recommendations that they might be able to use. But as of now, nothing is concrete as to what they're going to be doing.
Right. I think it would behoove maybe to connect with the Army Corps of Engineers to really understand,
Mm-hmm.
the statistics and apparently how because not only there is this issue of climate, but there is also an issue of the ground that actually Long Island and New York City and a lot of the East Coast is actually sinking. So at a rate of a certain rate. So there's a lot of issues that need to be dealt with for the long term or the midterm.
Okay, Mark,
So
that's all I have.
I thank you very much for speaking with the town.
So a couple of point you guys raised on the BESS Hampton Bays project. If you remember, 6 months ago, there was a moratorium that was put in it. It was delegated to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, and this moratorium ends this month of January. I'm going to be curious as to what the new board of the town is going to do with this, because it's going to come back this month. I checked the Planning Commission, Suffolk County's schedule for this week. I think they had a meeting today. I couldn't see if it was on the agenda or not, but the moratorium ends mid-January, so it will be on their agenda next month, and I'm curious to see if the town planning has done some work, because that's what you asked for a moratorium to do, and put some work into it, and what their conclusion is, whether they're going to come back with this project or not. I'd be curious to know, and I'm sure the village residents would like to know.
Right. I think battery storage is an amazing technology that may have a tremendous impact on our energy use, and the ability now solar panels have, what solar panel has done to it in the last maybe 20 years. Battery storage can also improve it tremendously, because then if we're able to store the energy from the solar panels and then go back either into the grid or reuse it at the time when we need it, this is a tremendous advantage. So I think that it's very important that we work with the battery storage companies and to work with them to make sure that we find appropriate sites for those. But I think it's inevitable that battery storage must be present in our area. I mean, that's it needs to be.
Sure. So Governor Huckle had a report that was published on the 23rd of December, just before Christmas, where they reviewed all the accidents that happened, both Long Island, in-state, out-of-state, and basically concluded that none of these accidents generated concern for the environment. That's their report and their conclusion. It's available on the
Yes.
New York State's website, their report.
Right.
But I think the question you just raised is a good one, which is the location. This particular proposal location is between the railroad and the County Road 39, right at the bridge. And if you ever have a problem, the entire community from east of the canal all the way to Montauk will be in a position where nobody's going to be able to cross back and get home if you ever have any problems there for a substantial period of time. So great project, wrong location in terms of a vital infrastructure location and risk associated with it, however small they are.
Yes, understood, and I think the point is very well taken. However, the idea is that they must find a location that's good for an interconnection. You have to be able to interconnect into the grid, and this interconnection can only happen at some of their substations. So they need to. So we need to work together with the utility companies to find appropriate locations where they can do an interconnection. So the okay, great. So I see.
On the deer, maybe a couple of I think interesting overall statistics. So we put what Michael said in context. I think a normal density in a village like Southampton is about 40 animals per square miles. When we started this program, it was about 100 per square mile. So that's 650 animals within the boundaries of the village. So I think what Michael indicated in terms of numbers, we're about a third of the way. It's going to be a 3-year program. So we always thought that as a density. So we probably have gotten will be at the end of January to a density of about 80 per square miles, with a target of 40 starting at 100. So just give you a sense of what numbers we're speaking about, and time that it will take, and effort that it will take, which will be a 3-year program. Right? Is that right?
That's correct. Thank you.
Right, and I just want to add also that the company that the village elected to use, was it Suffolk County Deer Management, they do have facilities where they actually package the meat, and they give it. Do they give it out for free?
Yes.
They give out the meat for free, deer meat, and it's can be very delicious if you want to try it. So. Okay, and they are located in West Hampton, right by the airport. Okay, anybody else? Any other comments?
So, Mark, we worked on 4 main initiatives during 2023, which were workforce housing, penalties and fesses, communication, wireless, and deer management. I'm curious that we should probably solicit the mayor and the board of trustees to see what are their priorities for the Planning Commission in 2024 at some point. We should try to do that.
Yes. That's a very good
for instance, you mentioned, tennis courts, pickleball. Is it or isn't it the priority? Should we be working on it?
Forget the trees.
The trees was also, was that a 22 effort?
Late 20, early 23, I think.
Right.
Right. The tree efforts was under your leadership, and it went very well. And I think it's also a very important issue that's related to the power, and because we have a lot of old trees, especially in some areas in the village, like around John Street, Willis Street, Helm Street, where it's really an issue with the cables. And okay, yeah. So we'll definitely reach out to the board of trustees to get a better feel as to the priorities for the Planning Commission. I think that the creation of and maybe the acquisition of additional property for parkland would also be something that would be worthwhile to look into, to be able to provide more to the residents. So, okay. So, is there any other comments? No.
No.
So I want to thank you everybody for your participation. And our next meeting is February 1st. So it's pretty a short month, February 1st at 5:30 at the Village Hall. And we hope to see everybody participate. So thank you very much, and a Happy New Year, and best wishes for the new year.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Do I have
We'll
a
make a
second?
motion to adjourn for the meeting.
Second.
Second, everybody in favor?
Thank you.
Aye, okay.